Hello and welcome to Invergordon.
Yeah, we are right in the Highlands of Scotland and it looks absolutely spectacular out there. If you're new to our channel, we are Tom and Don Travel and we go on cruises and put together informational vlogs on our experiences on board. If you haven't done so already, make sure you press that like button and don't forget to subscribe.
Today we got up really early, didn't we? Very early, because today is only a short space of time we get to spend in port in Invergordon. So we got up and headed straight to the Buckingham main dining room for breakfast.
We had a pre-booked excursion for 8:30, so we managed to get to the Buckingham Restaurant at 7:30. No problems at all, straight in, sat down and greeted by some really friendly staff.
The staff are fantastic in the Buckingham Restaurant. Doesn't matter what time of day you go in there, they're always fantastically helpful.
So to start, for breakfast, we were offered teas, coffees and juices, as well as toast and some pastries. I opted to start my breakfast with some fruit, which is always a good start.
I had a croissant with jam.
Then we both decided to have a cooked breakfast. I went for the full English that's just on the menu, so it comes with fried eggs, sausage, beans, bacon, hash browns, and Tom opted to go for make his own breakfast as per usual.
Yeah, and I had my usual bacon, sausage, beans and hash brown.
Even though we were in there at 7:30, it was a really quick turnaround because we made it out of there at around about 8:10. So we had 20 minutes to spare.
Yeah, and food was great once again, no problems at all with any of the food.
We went straight from the Buckingham Restaurant down to deck 5 where the gangway was, but because we were a little bit early, we thought we'd sit there and just grab ourselves one of them premium coffees from the Dickens coffee bar.
Coffee was lovely, 2 lattes for us while we waited for our time to head out on our excursion. When the time came then, we walked straight down the ramp. No problems at all today, was there? And to be greeted by our tour guide, and we hopped straight on the bus.
Very well organised. There were lots of excursions going off at the same time. As Tom previously said, we were only in Invergordon for 6 hours.
Now this excursion was fantastic. We had such a good time on board. The first probably 40 minutes to an hour on board was spent driving. That was taking us around the Highlands of Scotland, bit of a scenic tour on the NC 500, so great to be able to be on a little bit of that route anyway. And we saw loads of different things. Our guide was so helpful. The favourite thing that people were spotting on the bus was the Highland cattle, because they just looked so distinctive.
Our first stop was Urquhart Castle, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, just on Loch Ness.
The castle was built around the 1300s and was in use until 1632. From what we've seen, it's definitely abandoned because most of the castle is now a ruin, and it's been like that for about 300 years. When you first enter into the castle site, you enter through the visitor centre and head down some stairs, and then you enter into the little shop section and a cafe. Walk through there and it opens out into the castle itself.
The castle grounds are truly spectacular, based just off of Loch Ness, and it was beautiful.
We walked in, the first thing we came across was one of these big slingshot machines.
Trebuchet.
Big slingshot that fires balls or rocks.
Not nowadays, obviously.
No, but it is still there in the well, a replica is there in the grounds. You carry on walking down the path and you enter through the gates of the castle. And that isn't the main entrance for the castle, because originally the main entrance would have been on the loch itself. Defensive reasons, it was easier to enter through the loch up by boat. We were greeted at the entrance by 2 characters in period costume. They were both very friendly and interacting with tourists from all over the world. We heard lots of American accents, Canadian accents.
Spanish.
It is a really popular attraction, and we weren't sure that this time of year you would get such a mix of people, but it was really busy.
Loch Ness was also spectacular. It's absolutely huge. However, it is not the biggest loch in Scotland. It's the second biggest.
It is the second. Loch Lomond is the biggest loch in Scotland. From the castle grounds itself, you can catch a ferry, and it does take you on a bit of a tour out on the loch, but unfortunately because we had such short amount of time today, we didn't get a chance to do that. So what we did, we headed back up to the visitor centre, jumped on the coach, and then we did a bit of a scenic tour along the loch on the coach.
It took about 35 minutes from the castle and Loch Ness to get into Inverness.
Inverness is a really nice city. We were parked right next to the cathedral. The cathedral was very busy given that it was Easter and there were lots of Easter services going on. So we headed into Inverness itself for a little look around.
The main city centre is quite a bustling city centre with lots of high street stores, shops, everything you could find in most towns and cities in the UK. We weren't expecting it to be that busy.
It was really busy, but it's a lovely city to have a wander around.
Beautiful. Sandstone buildings.
A lot of sandstone buildings. It really gives it that nice, authentic feel. We had a little walk over the river itself, over a bridge that was actually very wobbly. There was a lot of movement on that suspension bridge. It was fun to do. And we even had a little look on the outside of the castle. The castle isn't available to go in yet because it's been refurbished.
After a very brief stop in Inverness, it was time to head back on the coach and make our way back to Invergordon to get back on Ambience.
Before we arrived in Ambience, we did do a lap of Invergordon town itself to look at some of the murals which are painted at the sides of the buildings. They are quite fascinating, so it's great to see that. So if you're not going all the way into Inverness, Invergordon is a good place to just spend an hour or two. And then we headed back to the ship just in time for us to
sail away. Scheduled sail away time was 2 o'clock and we arrived back at Ambience at 1:45. So only 15 minutes to spare. We weren't too worried because, as we previously said, we were on an organised excursion via Ambassador. One of the advantages of doing an excursion directly with the cruise line is they will wait.
It is a good decision to do a cruise line organised excursion when you've got such a short time in port like we have. You could easily see how you could cut it very, very fine when you're leaving at 2 p.m.
Once we got back onto Ambience, we quickly hurried and rushed to the Palladium Theatre because at 2 o'clock there was a play.
Abigail's party was showing, and this is set to be one of the highlights of the cruise. So we got in there straight away, got a seat, ordered a little drink, which is the one thing you can do that is great in the theatre here on Ambience, is you can order drinks straight to your seat.
Only cold drinks though, no hot drinks.
And then we watched the play, and what a play it was. Absolutely fantastic. The cast on board are superstars. They must work so hard because we see them all the time. And it was really interesting to see a play. Abigail's Party was a comedy that made us feel a little bit awkward at times and chuckle at other times. It was really, really good fun though to watch. It
was very busy in the theatre when we got there. There was plenty of seats, but by the time the show started, pretty much it was a packed house. So it just goes to show how popular these plays can be on board.
Today is a really, really busy day on board and we had something else lined up. So what we did, we headed back to our room, got freshened up and headed down to the spa.
The spa is located in the mid of the ship on deck 2.
So really, really low down in the ship.
In terms of the size, the number of treatment rooms, absolutely fantastic.
Really good facilities, and you can use the sauna, the steam room and the relaxation area completely for free, which is an absolute bonus on a ship. We sat in the relaxation area while we waited for our treatments, and then each of us was called by our therapist to our treatment room.
I opted for a 45-minute Eastern head, neck and shoulders massage, and it was absolutely fantastic. It was a very relaxing and enjoyable experience.
I opted for a hot stone massage and it was fantastic. These warm stones were massaged all over my back and my leg. I held warm stones in my hands, she did my arms, my back and my neck. Really, really good experience. 45 minutes of pure relaxation, and Don was laughing at me when I left the room because I literally looked like I had fallen asleep. I didn't, but I easily could have.
Overall, the spa treatments that we had were absolutely fantastic by quality staff who knew exactly what they were doing, and we both thoroughly enjoyed them.
Also, there was no selling at all that we experienced, which is fantastic from a cruise line because sometimes you feel more stressed coming out of there than you did going in when you feel like you're being upsold all the time. But the experience in the Ambassador Spa was fantastic. We had such a good time. Thank you very much for that.
As we were out on an excursion for the vast majority of the morning and afternoon, and then we had the play as well as the spa, we didn't have the opportunity to grab any lunch, so we were quite hungry, so we quickly hurried up to the Borough Market up on deck 12 to try and get a little bit of food. Unfortunately, we just missed afternoon tea.
Yeah. Damn.
So we then just went to the alfresco grill that's just out on the pool deck and grabbed ourselves some fast food.
I grabbed myself a cheeseburger and some fries. It was just okay, really. I'd seen that he'd pre-cooked the burgers and they were just warmed up type of situation, and you could tell that in the taste, so it wasn't particularly the best burger I've ever had.
And I had hot dog and chips and I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was very nice. I did have a bite out of Tom's burger, and yeah, I totally agree, I wouldn't have eaten it.
By this time then, it was time to head back to our room so we can get ready for this evening.
Over the first few nights on board, we felt as if we've missed part of the entertainment. Having a second sitting for dinner at 8:15 doesn't prompt us to get ready quickly and out and about. So this evening, we actually made a concerted effort to get out there bang on 7 o'clock and go to the Purple Turtle first.
We went and joined in the quiz. The quiz was 10 questions on general knowledge and one specialist subject. And the specialist subject on today's quiz was board games. Neither me or Dom are expert at board games, but we gave it a go. We didn't do too bad, but we definitely weren't the best. We got about 8 out of 15. But once again, the Purple Turtle was very busy. All the passengers seem to enjoy it. It's a great way to have a breed and a bit of entertainment. We grabbed ourselves a drink because there's once again plenty of waiters available, and enjoyed an hour there.
After the quiz, the Celebrate Trio, the house band on board, played a few tunes, and this was the first time we'd actually got the opportunity to see them, and they were really, really good.
They tend to play a different theme for each set. It's nice to have live music in a venue like that.
We stayed in the Purple Turtle and until it was time to head to the Buckingham Restaurant for our late sitting. We made our way across the ship, and again, really, really straightforward and easy. Everybody now knows exactly what table they're sitting at, and it is just quite a nice, smooth process. In addition to that, you pretty much get to know your waiters inside and out, which is fantastic.
Late sitting once again is 8:15, sat at our usual table and ordered our food. For appetiser, I went for the beef puff pasty, filled with beef and potato and veg, really, really tasty.
For my appetiser, I opted for the melon and feta cheese, and it was absolutely delicious.
On to our soup course then. I had chicken noodle soup, perfect. As I've said with all the soups on this cruise, I've really enjoyed them.
And I opted for the green pea soup, and it was absolutely delicious.
You really enjoyed it, didn't you?
Really, really tasty. I tend not to order a soup for a starter or an appetiser, but as Ambassador do 5 courses, it'd be rude not to. But all of the soups I've had so far on board have been absolutely brilliant.
We both then went for a cheese and bacon salad, really tasty, nice to have a bit of vitamins. Dom's encouraging me to eat more salad for some reason.
Lovely and fresh, it had a beautiful balsamic vinegar dressing, really, really enjoyed it.
I then had a main course of turkey cordon bleu. It wasn't the best meal I've had on board, I have to say. It did feel a bit like turkey slices, processed turkey, but it was edible, but not the best.
For my main, I went for the leek and cheese tart, and it was absolutely spectacular. Really, really enjoyed it.
And then finally, dessert.
And I opted for my 4th cheese course of the evening and went for the crackers and cheese.
You've had cheese.
So much cheese.
I then went for the sticky toffee pudding with custard. It was beautiful. I really, really enjoyed it. And as our waiter keeps doing now, he also bought me ice cream as well. As if we hadn't eaten enough, he wanted to fatten me up even more. Another great meal in the Buckingham Restaurant for Dom. an okay meal for me this time, not as good as it has been.
With dinner, we also had a couple of glasses of their signature red. Because we have the Ambassador Expedition package, we can pretty much have most alcoholic beverages that are on the menu, and it's all included, which is absolutely fantastic. The signature selection wine on board, which comes in white, red and rosé, changes on a daily basis. So it's quite nice to have a different red during our meals every day.
Once again, we were offered tea and coffee at the end of the meal, but we decided not to partake and headed off back to the Purple Turtle.
In the Purple Turtle, they were playing Family Feud, which is the same as Family Fortunes from TV. Unfortunately, because we had a late sit-in, we missed the vast majority of it and just caught the end. But it did seem like good fun, and it was very busy in there.
Then it was time to head into the theatre for our late night showing. Tonight was the comedian Jiminy Cricket.
Jiminy.
Tonight was the comedian Jimmy Cricket.
The theatre once again was busy. There were lots of people eagerly anticipating Jimmy's performance.
Jimmy put on a really good show that seemed to please the majority of passengers on board. The demographic that's on board with Ambience at the moment on this particular cruise really resonated with the type of comedy that Jimmy does. I think they all remember him from when they were younger, he was younger. So there's a bit of nostalgia there as well. So he came across really well with the audience. For myself and Dom, we weren't that familiar with this type of comedy that he'd done before. We didn't really know who he was until we came on board. So that nostalgia wasn't really there for us, but we can understand that so many passengers said how good he was for them. So it worked well for the passengers that were on board.
Some passengers did say that he used some of the jokes that he used 50 years ago, so it was quite interesting. But even so, they thoroughly enjoyed it. So.
Yeah. And if anyone knows why he wears wellies with his suit and his hat.
Can I share this with you?
Who was that?
I don't know.
He says to people, come here. But if you know him, it probably all makes sense to you. Yeah. From the theatre, we headed straight up to the observatory. You have to head straight up to the observatory to get a seat. But actually, it was pretty quiet tonight.
Yeah, it wasn't as busy as the ABBA celebration night.
But that may have been because we were pretty swift on getting up to the observatory and we managed to get a good seat. Tonight in the observatory was Michael's party cabaret session, and he did do a really good show. We keep saying this, the entertainment team on board are exceptional and they do such a good job. Now, there was no entertainment team in the main theatre tonight, but it was great to see all the team up supporting his cabaret. They were all on the dance floor, they were joining in, they were singing, they were dancing.
Conga line.
There was even a conga line at one point. It was another fantastic performance. And they had so many of the guests on board up on the dance floor dancing. So you can see that they are a really, really good team.
Once again in the Observatory Lounge, they were handing out hot canapes. So we grabbed ourselves a couple of handfuls of some chicken nuggets and some samosas and happily munched on them while we were watching the performance. What I also did was grab another handful and quickly hurried back to the cabin and stashed them so I could have something to eat when we came back in.
Yeah. I was squirreling them away just so he had something to eat later on to soak up some of that alcohol that he'd been drinking.
Cocktails on board are absolutely fantastic, and because we can pretty much have any of them, we have been working our way through them.
There's no skimping on measures on board. They are pretty strong.
They are strong. The Bramble is my particular favourite at the minute. So it's like a blackberry gin infused cocktail, and it's lovely.
After Michael's cabaret, it was then time for the usual late night disco with DJ Ryan. During the late night disco, the observatory does get a lot quieter. We've been up very early today. A lot of the other passengers have been up very early today to get out into Invergordon, Inverness, Loch Ness, Spa.
It's been a very busy day. And we started very early. So we can imagine that most of the passengers on board have had sort of a similar experience. So it was quiet in the late night disco. Yeah. We did stay in there for a little while, finished off a few drinks, but then we thought we'd better head to bed. We left the Observatory Lounge about 12:15. We made our way across the pool deck and it was quite nippy but spectacular.
The moon looks really bright on the sea. There's clear skies tonight and the moon is so bright it looks spectacular.
We made our way across deck 12 down to the Borough Market so Tom could grab a tea before bed from the 24-hour tea and coffee station. Made our way back to the cabin where I happily munched on my chicken nuggets and vegetable samosas.
I just drank my tea, so I did not have any more snacks.
And that was pretty much the end of our day. We're quite excited because tomorrow we're in Portree on the Isle of Skye, and neither of us have been there before.
No, another new destination for us. We're going to zip across the top of Scotland tonight and see where we end up in the morning.
So join us for our next video when we explore the beautiful port of Portree. Thanks for watching our day in Invergordon on Ambassador Ambience. If you've got any questions, just pop them in the box below and we'll get back to you.
Please don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that bell notification to never miss a video from us.
Thanks for watching.
Bye.
Thanks for watching. We've got lots more content available on our YouTube channel, so press that subscribe button. If you're interested in receiving daily updates, we're available on most social media platforms. Just search for Tom and Dom Travel.